Colin Martorana is a project manager for OneShoreline. That's the San Mateo County Flood and Sea Level Rise Resiliency District. I remember when this district was first formed, I kept telling Dave Pine that he needs to come up with a quick acronym here or some kind of thing, because that was not going to work as far as but anyway, yes, but that's a good save though. OneShoreline. He began his career back in his hometown of Santa Barbara with a degree in environmental engineering at the University of California, San Diego. He worked with the city's water and wastewater engineering department, managing regional wastewater system upgrades and maintenance project, as well as the supporting of the opening of the city's desalination plant. So Colin came up to County of San Mateo in 2018 with the county's flood resilience program, and is now, well, part of OneShoreline and a founding member. So he manages the permitting, construction, and operation of the district's first major construction project. And you can tell us about that, because you have obviously a lot on the drawing board now too. So Ravenswood Pond Complex and the Colma Creek watershed. We actually had a lot on the San Francisco Creek. So we'll be good to hear about other stuff. So without further ado, you can grab the screen and take it away. I'm going to hide my self-view.
Sounds good. Thanks for the comprehensive introduction, Dennis. And thanks all for having me. I appreciate having the opportunity to present a bit on our work and share a bit about who we are. And I'm happy to talk through and answer questions on the diversion structure that empties out in the Ravenswood Pond Complex. It's not included in my presentation, but yeah, happy to talk through it if there's interest. So I'm Colin Martorana, project manager here at the San Mateo County Flood and Sea Level Rise Resiliency District, shorthand OneShoreline. We are a special district here in San Mateo County that was established at the beginning of 2020 through state legislation. So yeah, I'll start off sharing a bit about our agency, what we're about, and who we are. So San Mateo County, in many ways, can be considered kind of the ground zero for the water-related challenges posed by climate change. There are about 100 miles of coast and bay shoreline in the county, and we and our constituents are the most vulnerable county in California to the first 3 feet of sea level rise, and that's in terms of population, with over 100,000 people that live within this impacted area, the number of homes, the number of contaminated sites, and the property value. And that doesn't even get into the amount of schools and hospitals and highways and wastewater treatment plants and power plants and major corporations that also sit within this impacted zone. Prior to OneShoreline's establishment, there was a long-standing flood control district housed within the County of San Mateo. It collected property taxes and implemented projects within about 8% of the county area. Operated along about 10% of the county shoreline, and nothing along the Pacific coast side. And so as a result, the former flood control district was not well positioned to deal with these transformative challenges that we're facing today. Being able to work across jurisdictional bounds and just being able to respond to these threats. And solving these massive challenges is kind of what led to the establish kind of the foundational idea behind establishing OneShoreline. So in January of 2020, OneShoreline was established to build resilience to the water-related impacts. Those include flooding and sea level rise, which are in our name, in addition to erosion, coastal erosion on our Pacific coast side, regional stormwater projects, and water supply. So a little bit about some of our priorities that I'll start with planning. We offer to work with cities across the county. There are 20 cities that make up our county, or within our county, on updating their general plans, specific plans, and zoning ordinances, kind of with the global objective to contribute to this regional resilience. We also offer to review and work with cities in the review of development proposals. Naturally, we are particularly interested in developments that are proposed along the Bay shoreline. Along our bayfront, our projects are focused on building a line protection along our 53 miles of shoreline within San Mateo County. The map at the bottom left here depicts what we're calling the Bay program. It shows the swath of projects that OneShoreline is either the lead in or directly engaged with in conversation with others in implementing this comprehensive protection. And to demonstrate some of that success, to put that into action, we are currently leading a multi-jurisdictional project along about 8 miles of shoreline along the Millbrae and Burlingame cities shoreline, in addition to the creeks that empty to the bay within that reach. We're currently working through developing project alternatives for the CEQA analysis, and this fall we anticipate beginning the 30% design process and issuing our notice of preparation. Another priority I want to mention involves storms, especially as we're kind of rapidly moving into the potentially another wet, rainy season. I know that's on a lot of folks' top of mind. And that work includes both alerting folks to and reducing the impacts from these storms. And a final priority that I just want to mention here is the sustainability of our effort. At the establishment of our agency, a commitment by the 20 cities within the county, matched by the county itself, contributed 3 years of startup operational funding through some additional project-specific contributions and creative or lean operations. We are able to extend that funding through 2027, but we have not yet established funding in perpetuity to sustain our work at this time. With regard to planning, we spent much of last fiscal year developing what we've called the planning policy guidance. This document may now be found in its on our website at the URL located here, oneshoreline.org/planning-guidance. In its development, we received approximately 580 comments, and that's from state and local entities, environmental groups, private developers, really a broad array of folks that are, that may be interested in resilience planning contained within their respective general plans, specific plans, zoning ordinances. So what this document is, and I'll walk through this a little bit slowly because each word here is intentional. It is a standardized, which implies it's for all 12 cities and the county that touch the bay within the County of San Mateo. Voluntary, OneShoreline doesn't have land use authority, except for a few very small specific reaches of creeks. And so regulation along the shoreline isn't something that we dictate. It is evolving, as in it's currently based on the best available science and our shared understanding today. and it's importantly not a static document. We intend to update this on a reoccurring basis as new information comes to light. And it is an actionable template. This document contains very specific language that cities are able to take and adopt, just kind of a copy and paste process to their needs. Several cities within San Mateo County have already taken the opportunity to do that, or are in the process of doing so. And so what's in it? Our Bay Protection Standard, which is OneShoreline's kind of standard level of protection that we're looking to implement and maintain along the Bay shoreline. Template text for general and specific plans, template text for zoning ordinance requirements, and template text for reviewing proposed documents. In addition, attached or kind of supplementing this policy is a new interactive map of future conditions. This map or this utility can be accessed scanning the QR code here. It can also be found on our website as well. And this highlights the Bay Protection Standard I mentioned earlier, in addition to the sea level rise overlay district. Kind of depicts the areas that are anticipated to be impacted by substantial sea level rise, and a shallow groundwater rise overlay district as well, which becomes important when we start talking about and planning for underground utilities, underground parking garages, things of that nature. Now, our objective in developing this document is not necessarily to discourage development in these areas, but instead, importantly, that when these developments are designed and proposed and approved, that we all ensure that the future conditions of where these assets, these properties will exist for their lifetime, future conditions are accounted for. And just to hit briefly on another priority regarding storm response. And again, this may be top of mind for a lot of folks today. During the first 3 years of our establishment, OneShoreline, with support from DWR, the Department of Water Resources, through their flood emergency response grant, developed the region's flood early warning system. And that's accessible through the URL shared here, OneShoreline earlywarning.onerain.com. The system is made up of a network of sensors that monitor stream flow and precipitation, and those are located strategically upstream of flood-prone areas, with the intent to provide early flood warning to those communities downstream. During the past water year, notifications were sent to city and county emergency response personnel. And on January 9th, for the first time, our system connected with and informed SMC Alert, which is kind of a local version of Amber Alert, provides the kind of a service that texts each cell phone within like a physical area. We issued a emergency communication to what's known as the Harbor Industrial Area. The notification was sent to the area that's highlighted in orange in this depiction in the bottom left corner in the screen that I'm sharing now. And on the right-hand side, each of the yellow points kind of indicates the network of the extent of our network as it is today. And it includes three new stations actually, that we anticipate bringing online within the month of September. So a little bit of work left to do, but we imagine that we'll be able to bring those assets on board. And those are located within the Pescadero and Butte Creek watersheds. And that's about all I have to share in recognition of cutting folks' lunch short. I can conclude with that. And yeah, I'm happy to answer any questions, and thanks for your time and attention on this.
Thank you, Colin. I'm just looking to see if I can join you and visually, but at least audio I can. I'm looking to see if there were any questions that have come up. You might have done such a great presentation. You've made everyone shy on questions. Do you have any questions for you? And actually, you said you would talk a little bit about the South County, the border of Santa Clara County, San Francisco Creek, you know, as well, even though it wasn't part of your presentation.
The Bayfront Canal project. Yeah, I'm happy to share about that, and we can kind of take a moment to celebrate the successes of its first operational year in this past water year. So this, in essence, is an underground diversion structure. It's made up of two 8-foot by 5-foot culverts that run underground about 550 feet below the entrance to Bedwell Bayfront Park. I don't know if I have a very useful map that would kind of depict where that area is, but it is identified in our map here. So that's at the entrance to Bedwell Bayfront Park here, close to the. It's a multi-jurisdictional project in that it kind of serves the areas, or serves the area that drains portions of the town of Atherton, the cities of Redwood City and Menlo Park, and the County of San Mateo. And specifically, Bayfront Canal drains an area that repeatedly has impacted a series of 5 mobile home parks that have been flooded repeatedly, nearly on an annual basis for decades. And so in recognizing this need, back in 2012, I believe, planning first began in the development of this project. And as it's a multi-jurisdictional project, my understanding is it was a little difficult to establish who would be taking the lead on this, and it kind of just floundered for a number of years. And so at the beginning of 2020, we inherited that project, completed the design, completed the environmental permitting, securing of the permits and completing CEQA analysis, secured the land access rights to build this project, and implemented construction. And at the end of 2022, this project had been completed and commissioned and ready to operate, which was very timely because in our understanding, this structure, and I understand I need to share a little more context about it, but this structure operated at least 9 times in diverting water from this undersized Bayfront Canal, which then takes advantage of the capacity of the Ravenswood Pond Complex. So yeah, again, I don't have a great map here, but if you're able to see my mouse, there's a pond complex that I'm kind of highlighting here. It's just to the right of the green area that's identified by the OneShoreline Bayfront Canal and Marsh Road project. And we have about 150 acre feet of capacity available to us for flood mitigation. And so, yeah, in a lot of ways, we saw this as a great success in its first year of operations. This work was performed or completed in collaboration with the South Bay Salt Pond Restoration Project, which is the outfit undertaking the restoration of this pond complex. And so our project is able to provide a freshwater source to their ponds. We're able to take advantage of the capacity that they have to offer under these emergency scenarios. And in addition to that, our structure has an automatically operating trash rack at its intake. And so we're able to provide a nice water quality benefit, remove everything down to about the size of a cigarette butt. And there's some pretty impressive amounts of debris that we are able to remove. I think 16 cubic yards in total this first year. So yeah, it's a little bit about that project in its first year.
Yeah, that is certainly impressive. And as you mentioned, it looks like we're heading for a wetter winter, kind of an El Nino winter with warmer temperatures, so much more possibility of flood activity across the winter. Yeah, fun to look for. We won't have maybe as big a snowpack, I mean, right, as last time. It's going to be warmer stuff, but actually in a few sessions, Deidre Desjardins can talk more about that. I see she just joined. So well, anyway, I thank you for coming to Waterpalooza, and hope Len Matterman is successful in his Washington, D.C. tour, getting people to focus on money while other stuff are going on in Washington. So, well, thanks again. I mean, it's just OneShoreline makes so much sense, in the area, and as a kind of a multi-jurisdictional organization, to kind of take the lead. It's something that once it started, it was like, anybody like, why didn't we have this earlier?
Sure. Yeah. It's been a really exciting opportunity, and yeah, I mean, the most intense challenge that I've brought on, not only managing, these kind of run-the-mill projects, but also the establishment of a government agency. It's not an opportunity that I think too many people have. So yeah, it's been a real pleasure, and yeah, happy to always talk about it and share with everyone.
Yeah, so, because you really have to utilize the soft power, right, with the intergovernmental cooperation. It's not like, you have eminent domain over everything. So
yeah,
really
and to your point, it has been very encouraging how many, at least in power, the decision making, the ones that have the decision making ability, have recognized that value and kind of been good kind of project partners, offered a space at the table for us to engage in these critical conversations. So we've been very encouraged by that, and yeah, looking forward to becoming something like a Valley Water when we grow up.
Yeah, well, it's certainly good. I mean, San Mateo County has a good history of cooperation among their entities, especially since they're all of a certain size, and there's a great tradition of that. I think it's one of the strengths of the county. Yeah, and it kind of resulting in this. So thanks again.
Yeah, thank you very much.